Hi, I'm Bino, light technician at Furality. I'm here to talk about shining the light, stage lighting in virtual reality. We're going to show to everyone how the club that actually happening right now works and how all the technical parts of it. So, what is stage lighting? Stage lighting is a method of using light beams to create like moods and experiences for people and enhance visibility of performance if that's needed. For example, we did that for LumaFest. And create moods for performance. Like if you have like a breakdown in music or something that goes more chill, we do use like cold lights and like blues and purples to give more set a mood in the performance that being happening. On EDM festivals are even part of the DJ performance, so they're used for impact and other stuff and music and to enhance all the stage and all what's happening in the presentation. Here are some of our clubs that have the systems we use in the ClubFin. The ClubFin is right now is the most advanced one, but these ones have a lot of stuff too that's very, very, very technical and very nice. But let's go. Why use stage lighting in your world? So, stage lighting can enhance all of the stuff that you want to like put in a performance of a DJ, or even like if you're doing a stage performance like people playing music or covers and stuff like that, how we did in LumaFest. And VRSL, the system that we use, have two options for all the clubs and stage performance. DMX mode, that's what we mainly use, and audio link mode, that's more for case when you need to create a public world that people doesn't have the capacity to run DMX mode, so they can only drive the stuff using audio. And the DMX mode is what we are going to talk more about today, and it's the more advanced part of it, and the better one. So, stage lighting can increase immersion, help creating interesting visuals, and help to create mood, emotion, and stuff like that. And people often associate it with very hype production, and create like people actually see that as like a big thing, a big difference when you have it and when you don't have it. And DJs normally appreciate when people try their best to make their performance feel more live, and it creates like, and like, why? Sorry, who doesn't want a sick-ass light show in your VRChat world? So, TechnicallySane user
Over to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, making a lighting rig. So, this is where it gets a little bit complicated. So, easiest way of putting this. So to make a lighting rig in VR, you're not limited on a budget like you would be with real lighting. You're also not technically limited on where you can place them. You're not limited on anything like that. But you need to take into consideration where you place them. You need to make sure that you don't overuse a single type. Make sure you've got enough variety, and make sure that what you do put into the world, you're going to use. Because you could put hundreds and hundreds of lighting fixtures into a single small box, but then never use all of it. So it comes down to performance as well. The more lights you have, the more overheads on like graphical side of things of drawing lights. But then it also can come down to the type of lights that you're using. AC's done a fantastic job making the VRSL system that we all use for our stage lighting effects. In terms of how they work, we'll get into the details on that. But they're not like how you would normally build a world with like real-time lighting. They are entirely shader-based, which makes them, I guess, more efficient. They make the same effect, but they are, they make the same effect, but they're not real-time lighting, so that's a good thing. In terms of the layout of a rig, I've done a few now in VR. A lot of it comes from doing stuff in real life. I try to make my clubs as realistic as possible, although you don't necessarily have to. We've gone from my kind of rigs, which is like my Foundry, which is very realistic, to Club Fin. There you go, perfect example of something that's not based on a real venue, not based on real lighting style kind of thing. You can go as crazy as you want if you've got the time and effort. Next slide, Bino. We could.
Yep. This is AC.
Oh.
So yeah, I'm going to pass over to AC to explain how his amazing system works.
Guys, this is AC. He created the lights.
Hello. Yeah. Well, I made VR stage lighting. And what VR stage lighting basically is, the main core of it is to actually get a standard that is used in the actual stage world called DMX, which is, I believe, digital multiplex. I forgot what it's called.
Yeah.
It's something like that. But it is the stage lighting protocol that is used across pretty much every single production that you ever see in real life, whether it be musical concerts, operas, dances, clubs, anything that has lighting that is movable, addressable, can tint colors, all that stuff. It has like life to it. DMX can provide that. So what I've done is I've created a grid node piece of software that interfaces with a sub protocol of DMX called ArtNet. ArtNet allows you to transfer DMX data over a network. And so through this node, we can grab DMX data from stage lighting software such as GrandMA and QLC+, and direct it directly into this node and turn it into pixel data like you see on the screen there. This pixel data can be easily read by Unity, because Unity it's a graphical interface to video game engine that can handle pixel data. So what we essentially do is we generate this grid array of pixels and use OBS to put the pixels on the stream. The stream is hidden from most of you all, and you won't be able to actually see this, but in that stream, each pixel is worth one DMX channel in the basic mode. There's also an extended mode where each color of R, G, and B represents one pixel channel. And since each value of those colors can go from 0 to 255, it matches up perfectly with the standard DMX output. As the array is sent through the stream, we usually use something like VRCDN to pipe the stream directly into the game world without having to go through a more public party system, as well as providing a much higher quality pixel data to the game world. Now, once the stream is in here, a camera picks up, so like an actual Unity camera looks at the screen, grabs the pixel data, and converts it directly into shader code. And that shader code converts it into movement data, color data, line density data, anything that you would want for DMX. And with that being said, that allows us to do a lot more powerful things that you normally wouldn't be able to do with something like Audio Link, because Audio Link is reactive based on audio, whereas this is actually controlled by a human being in real time. And because as well that we are sending all this data in a pipeline, sort of like an assembly line, where the DJ is streaming to the lighting director is then streaming to a VJ, and the VJ streams into the world. Everything kind of gets compiled into one video stream that the user can see. So the entirety of the entire production is basically in one frame and one byte stream. That way, everything's synced up nice and easy. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the lowdown of how it works on the technical side. You can go to the next slide if you want.
All right. Sending it to the world. Probably one of the most complicated things I didn't understand when I first got into this was, how in the heck is this getting into the world from the DMX world? And we've learned that everything relies on the video player in Unity. Everything that we do, everything we experience, all the information from the outside to go inside to VR happens through the video player. And that's where we have OBS to bring it in. So where do we start with this stuff? we're going to start with the next slide. Sending it to the world. OBS is built so you have a blade. We bring the blade to OBS, and then we position that wherever we need to. For us, we tend to put it on top because things scan linear. If you have interpolation or progressive scanning, usually data from video feed is at the top, and we're lighting LDs. We want the data to be right there, right first. Once that data gets sent from OBS, it goes into the world, of course, but then it turns into the world as you expect it. How do you stream it? Well, as of recent, we've learned that Twitch isn't exactly what we do anymore because they use a third party and it's a little wobbly. So my suggestion to you all is to use VRCDN because that's the one to use. But when it comes to streaming into VR, you have to make sure that you let me pull back. You have to make sure that your settings are correct in OBS. You can't push too much data, you can't push enough data, because what happens is if you start pushing too much data at it, you're going to lag out the world. If you don't push enough, you're going to make those lights wibble and wobble. They're going to wobble and scream at you, and you'll start feeling it. So make sure your settings are correct, and we can go into extreme detail on that, I'm sure, but for the intents of time and purpose, we're going to skip over that one. And so my little part here was to just explain the flow path. The flow path is very simple. We're going to go from the DMX software, which is RandomA, QL Lights, Daslight, a whole bunch of others. We have Onyx. There's tons of DMX softwares out there. That then gets turned into an ArtNet grid. That ArtNet grid goes right into a piece of software that AC created. So DMX software to a visualizing software. This visualizing software shows up on your computer screen that you bring into OBS. Once it goes into OBS, it then turns into the video player. In the video player in world, it's picked up by the camera, and then the camera sends it to the light. That is the flow path of VRSL. So it's important to understand that getting it out of the DMX software and into a light grid, out of a light grid, into OBS, out of OBS, into the player, and then into the world for everyone to explore it. And with that being said, I'm going to move to the next slide and the next person to talk about some more cool stuff.
All right, so it's back to me. So this is where it gets a little bit complicated. So the way the VRSL lights work is basically identical to how they would work in real life. So every light fixture you add to your world, if you want to have control over each single fixture one by one, so you got the most creative control, then you need to assign your lights a universe and a DMX channel. So if we start off quickly with just the standard VRSL moving head, that's 13 channels of data to control every function inside of those fixtures. So you got your movement, you got your colors, etc., etc. To patch, say you want 2 of these. Your first one, you put it on the start. You put it at start of universe 1 on channel 1. So that one then goes from 1 to 13. It takes 13 channels of control data. Then your next one, the second fixture you want to patch, you would put it at 14, and then that goes on 13 channels. This is then, so if most lighting softwares, you do your patch in the software. It gives you a nice grid of all your lights. You can just add them one by one, and it will automatically give you the starting addresses. You then take those starting addresses and universes, you go to your lights in Unity, you put them in identical, so universe 1, channel 1, universe 2, whatever. You just do that for your whole lighting rig. You can duplicate lights, so if you want 2 lights that both do the exact same thing, you can copy paste it and have them both on universe 1, channel 1. But just keep into consideration what you got. Make sure that everything's patched right. And make sure that you check everything before you go live for any events.
That's so true.
Gonna pass you back to Bino now. Bino.
Yep. Now I'm going to show you people a club fin VRSL blade, the one they're watching live right now. Probably I don't remember if it was Fan or Schleck set, but now I'm going to play the video. I think that's the button.
So what you're seeing here in this video is all the pixels. They're moving
Behind
from
us.
different shades. And
Mm-hmm.
go ahead, Bino. There you go.
Now we're going to talk about club fin, and this part is basically a retro to show the old system before VRSL came in as a thing. Rapson, that's your part.
Okay. I might need uppies though.
Uppies. Yep, we can lift you up.
Yeah,
Here we go.
uppies.
We'll push the block
Uppies.
up. Here we go. Up. It's around here somewhere. I'm sure of it.
Oh my god.
Well, there's stools
to the
around here
side.
somewhere. Let me go find the stool. Where's the stool? Where's the stool? There we go.
There you go.
There we go.
There we go.
Hey.
Ta-da! All right, here we go.
So, yeah, I'm just sort of here to talk about the past, I guess. Because before we had the luxury of VRSL, which is such an easy system to use. And for me, I'm not even a Unity person, but like coming from a lighting background, DMX is just easy to work with, and VRSL makes sense. So before we didn't have that, and we kind of did it in an old-fashioned way. So when we did this the first time in Furality 2000, one of the pictures is in this slide up there, but that club was the first time that we did sort of like a kind of custom light show, but we had five different zones. So we pretty much just put it just read color value off the screen. So it was a system that a lot of clubs years ago used in VR chat, where they just read color just from any sample point on the screen. So we just chose specific points that we wanted, and then when I was VJing over the top, I just added a little square in those little sections, and then that's how we controlled the lights, so we could segregate it from the video itself. And back then we thought that was an awesome light show. We had 5 lights. That was like way more than most people at that point.
Right?
But then after that was kind of the test run. So then Luma, which was I guess a con that a lot of people remember, was the first time that we actually pushed it a bit further, and we added I think maybe 60 something extra pixels in, just all dedicated to one little corner, just to do more lighting control. So that was the first club that we actually had a full light show that was programmed. But yeah, and the way we had moving lights and stuff, but we didn't have the control like the DMX grid does. We had to pre-make the movements in Unity. But we had this cool thing that we did, which was using read pixels, which isn't that great, which we think now, because it is a bit performance heavy. But at the time, that's kind of what we had. So, but we were able to use extra pixels on the screen, and the values of those would change what the movements were in the lights. So there was a lot of shader magic and scripting by our awesome creative team. But yeah, so that's kind of how we used to do things. It was just either color on screen or just a control pixel that would tell something to turn on or off, like water jets and such. Yeah, but this is we didn't have the grid, so the way we did it was through Resolume Arena, which is just a video sort of a VJ software, which is great for video mapping and stuff. And I just, because it was a software that I knew how to use, I just mapped it out in there to just basically translate DMX from a lighting software through that, because it needed to get on screen somehow. So the only way I knew how to do it was just use a video software. So this is my setup from back then, which was just all my computers and lighting consoles set up. But yeah, so Arena would map every single pixel into the correct spot that we wanted it to be. So we weren't limited with what the grid looked like. We could actually lay it out however we wanted. This little picture that's in the slide is an actual screen map from the Clubfin in Legends. So all the colored squares that you're seeing just throughout that picture is mostly just screen zones, but then there's one little corner which just has a whole array of different color pixels, and that's how we forced all the lighting data into a small little location that didn't really take up much space. So we had to go there was a fair amount of freedom to move it around on your screen map, But yeah, we just sort of were limited in the fact that we didn't have as much control as what VRSL gives now. But yeah, that's pretty much the same concept like what we did from Furality 2000, just kind of got more and more in quantity. But the technology was basically the same. But yeah, it was like, oh, this is all the world stuff. Yeah, there's other things that that was the show. This is sort of beyond my skill set as well, because I just kind of did the lighting. Our creative team did some really crazy stuff. So like when we did LumaGlow, which was the first time we implemented that was for Luma. But yeah, it just read off the same system that was going into the lighting. So I was able to like control everybody's avatar and change their colors and make them flash to the beat, which was just cool. It came out, I think, either just before or just after Audio Link was released. So it was like, by that point, we kind of already had our own system built, and then we just ran with it. But it was quite popular for what it was. So and it's still used today. But yeah, like on this picture, you can see like just a sort of a broken up sort of grid of what our color zones used to be, which was just like it was just 2 rows of like squares, and then they were just divided up with like whatever I grouped things as: moving lights one section, like static lights another section, and then anything else just spread out. But yeah, it took up very little space, which is very convenient. So then we could have more room for screens, because I like having a lot of screens in the club, as you guys have probably seen.
Yeah, we know.
So do I.
So,
So do I, though.
But yeah, that's pretty much the whole gist of how Club Fin really worked. So
yeah, now we're going to play a video showing basically the same thing, the VRSL play, like all the pixels moving, but this one was the Club Thing version, and Legends, I think it's one of the sets they're playing there. So let's play the video.
oh
Yep.
yeah, so that corner was pretty much all lighting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's how.
that's it
all.
for Club Fin. Thank you. I'll hand it back over to Bino.
Thank you.
I gotta jump down.
Yeah, I think you need... What? I think you need to remove the stool because I'd be...
Here, hold on, I got this. I got this. Yeah, push the block down. Yeah, there we go. Got it. All right, we're good.
So that's it. That's our presentation. Thank you everyone that's seen it and I was here. There's people here in the state with us, and that's all. And if you guys have any questions and want some answers from us, I think the Discord is already open for us to do Q&A.
Yeah, we'd gladly answer questions.
Mm-hmm.
VRSL is actually a pretty cool system as far as like a lot of you have seen the system in the field. A lot of you have been to a lot of clubs. A lot of club goers will choose to use the audio link version for the ease of access to it. And you will notice the difference. When it comes to the audio link version, those lights, they're going to wobble and wiggle, and sometimes they'll be still. And that's just because the world builder didn't do anything with the animation circuit on it. That's not VRSL's fault. So, when it comes to the DMX, though, oh yeah, maybe we have questions.
Yep, we got 2 questions from Gus.
Yeah,
I'll let you finish what you're saying.
Let's see. No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'm just talking.
So Gus says, "What does the term busking mean? And does it does it help to have musical experience to match lights to music?" Who wants to go
You want me
first?
to answer it? You want me to answer
I
it?
feel like you should answer that. One of y'all should answer that. Maybe.
Yeah, you're right. You should answer that. Answer the
Yeah, I
busking
feel
part.
like you should. Yeah.
So busking.
Yeah.
Busking is just a term of it's done live. So you just turn up. You control whatever. In lighting terms, you control whatever live in time of whatever's playing. you haven't pre-programmed anything before you go ahead and do your show. So we use that term quite a lot. Yeah, we use that term a lot. We go and busk lights because of 99% of the time we don't know what we're gonna control lighting to, especially when we do live stuff. And then
Is it just a slang
whatever
for
happens,
sending
happens. Yeah, pretty much.
So yeah,
It's a bit
get in
like
front
how
of the
musicians
console. I'm
busk.
just gonna send it. Busk it.
And does it help to have musical experience to match lights to music? It does help. Being able to pick up on BPMs of music.
Basic music
That's a
theory, I
big
think.
one. That is like yeah. And then we've all got our own like preferred genre of music. So a lot of the time, myself, house and dance. So I can listen to somebody playing
Hardstyle.
live house, and I know when there's a build-up coming. I know when there's going to be a drop. I know when to strobe. I know when to black out. It just kind of, it's just natural. The more you listen to a certain type of music, the more you get used to what's coming, and you can kind of preemptively control your lights, so you get the big build-ups and the big drops. Anybody else got anything to add on that?
Watching some other festivals and other like events as references could be a really good way to get an idea of like the kind of lighting you should probably do for that genre. Like the lighting for a rock concert is going to be dramatically different from something like a hardstyle concert, right? But both have two different skill sets and two different types of ways to express how the music is being conveyed to the audience. Color palettes are important, and so learning things about color theory can also help a little bit, not just music theory.
Truth.
Very much
there's
so.
also the part. There's also the part too of like when you're doing DJ coordination, you should also think about LD coordination as well, because it's very much a different type of art. Each of us have our own lighting styles, and so when you pair your DJs, make sure you're pairing an LD that likes that genre. Don't just grab an LD off the shelf and say just do it all, because you're gonna see some that are passionate, and you're gonna see some that will be like sure, up. So coordination is good.
I got
let's grab another
questions
question.
here too.
Yeah, I love questions. Let's do it.
Is
Go on,
Curry
Bino.
Club Fin is using Vericel? Yes, it is using Vericel, and it's one of the most advanced. Like we have like, I can grab a number. We have like 149 fixtures. Yeah, that's what my program is saying to me. So yeah.
That's just
50
in the lighting control.
something universes. Yeah, 50 something movers.
That
Isn't it?
50,
Like
50
another-
moving
correct.
in
50
two
something
universes.
movers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep,
yeah.
but that's not the least of it though. The club actually does a whole heck of a lot more. It's actually a hybrid myriad of a bunch of different technologies.
Yep.
VRSL is just adding icing to the top.
VRSL allows us to control the majority of the lighting and a few extra elements like the stalagmites. Is that what they're
Yeah.
called?
And
Yeah.
the fireworks.
Around the sides.
And the
fireworks.
fireworks. Oh
The
yeah.
flames, the smoke. There's so much more. And since we got the new GPU readback
that's right.
system, thank you, AC.
This is brand new technology. The VRSL
Yeah, we've got
readback. This is the
so
latest
much more.
development.
Got so much more control over stuff that you wouldn't have previously had easy control of.
Oh yeah, AC performed a Christmas miracle to get that platform working. The fireworks would not have been possible without this one right here.
They released it like a week, and I was like, I've been asking for a readback for about 2 years now, and they finally came out with it, and I just dropped everything and was like, I'm going to make a plugin for this now,
Right?
and I spent like a
So-
week just doing
And
it.
it's perfect.
I want to expand on that really quick. The difference between the previous way that they did read pixel and the way they do it now is the async process. Before, we didn't have an async process, so what would happen is the pixel would read, but when it read, it paused everything, and you'd feel it. You would feel a lag spike in the world almost every minute, or whenever that cycle happened, we would feel a hiccup. Async makes it so you can not halt the world. Nothing stops. It just keeps on reading it.
Yeah,
Shall I grab another question?
Yep.
Let's go for.
have a lot of
Extra asks. I'm considering starting DMX lighting to help VR chat events. Where should I start? What's a good starter DMX controller?
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh,
Mm.
that's a good one.
Where to
Honestly,
start?
I would say
I would start with simple with like Q lights. Even though it's a pain, it's also not a high investment.
Yeah, QLC Plus. It's
Correct.
open source and free. I think it's open source.
Open
Mhm.
open
Yes,
source.
it is.
Open source. Yeah.
Open source. There's
yeah.
some caveats to it.
It's free to download. It's free
I
to
wouldn't-
use. You'll need the grid node software that AC sells in his booth
Yep.
Mhm.
to
The readback.
pass the ArtNet into the world, which generates that grid that we talked about earlier. And then where to start? Download the VR stage lighting package from the GitHub
That's
and
true.
start poking
you,
it.
You get that. You get it from AC's GitHub.
GitHub. Yeah.
And the lights are available to you, available to download without any cost. But then you get the grid through the Gumroad, I believe. It's
Yeah.
the Gumroad, right? And
Yes,
it's nothing. It's not even. It's an easy drop in the bucket, and that just funds the development of the software. You definitely want to do that.
Yeah, I would like to add. For example, during LumaFest, I was the only person using Q lights, and everyone said they make killer shows, and people were like praising me. So you can do it too. So don't feel like I'm using Q lights and being pushed back or something like that. It's just a matter of like starting to use it and get along with it. It's a little more, and it's the free version. It's the free one that you can use, and it's the best one in that regard. So, yeah. So don't feel
If
that
you use-
it's going to be bad.
If you
Go to
use
the bad
QLC,
shows.
just know this, okay? Be patient. It's a picky program.
Yes.
It takes a lot of love and patience with it because it's really, it's kind of backwards in a lot of ways.
That cannot be understated. Holy, but yeah, it does work. It does what you tell it to do. You just have to tell it in a certain. You'll learn.
It has very specific ways to do things, and you're not allowed to deviate that.
Oh, I've another question.
Oh.
About
Shoot, I love good questions.
about Sylva, about Club Fin. Somebody's asked, how does the bird move?
Yeah.
Rapson, that's a question that you can answer.
Of me.
You want to answer it? I can answer it too
The
if you'd like.
movements.
But you should.
I mean-
you should.
The general like movements, if you're seeing wings open and close, that's part of that lovely new async feature that we got given just recently. And yeah, it's literally just we've assigned a trigger on like in the screen map, which is basically just effectively going into a DMX channel, or it's just reading off a section of the VRSL, and it just as soon as it detects that pixel is on, it triggers the wings to open and close, so we can turn them on or off whenever we want. And then if some people saw the one set, there was one extra movement that we added for one specific DJ. But yeah, it's the same technology. It was just a pixel turning on, and then
Just a
it would
trigger sequence,
activate its
yeah.
animation. Yeah.
It was also conditional formatting too. We had it set up to where if this pixel and this pixel were in this particular order, execute order 66. That way we couldn't accidentally somebody in the DJ scene.
Yeah,
Accidentally eats.
That is a good way to do it.
DJs.
Yeah, right? Mm-hmm.
that's not a bad way to do it.
I have another question. What DMX software do you use mainly? I use
we all
mainly
use different.
Granime, the second version, the very old version that works, and I just got attached to it. I think you guys can answer that too. What do you, Isaac, use?
I use Daslight, but that's because me and Tech use Daslight, and mind you, if you get into Daslight, it's an investment.
It's
Yeah.
I also
relatively
use
expensive.
Grandime.
But not as
Yes.
bad as Grand or Onyx or there's costs to the LD.
They're
LD is not
reasonable.
a cheap industry, but as far as like DAS is really designed for club scene situations. Grand is designed for big festivals and lots going on at once. I'm jealous of some of the movements that Bino can come up with,
Yes.
and then Bino turns and tells us that he's jealous of our color palettes.
And then
AC.
Rapson.
What software you use mainly?
Same one as you, Grand MA2. I was
You-
using QLC Plus for like the longest, but I've recently graduated to Grand MA. I was like, well, I might as well fully invest into this.
And then
In
Rapson
Rapson,
over
what
here.
software you use?
For Furality, I'm using Onyx because it's what I have at home. But I use everything from Onyx to Hog to Magic Q to Grand MA, which is my preferred software. But I just don't have that luxury of using it at home. So at work and on shows, I'll be using an MA whenever I can get my hands on it. But like anything in between, like I haven't really touched Daslight and QLC because I sort of started on the console range of softwares first and sort of just kind of stuck around those. But pretty much anything in that field is pretty much what I use.
That's true. That the big dogs are console based. So you see a big lighting desk, and those can run independently and operate all within themselves. Things like QL or DAS, they require the software, and the computer is most of the operation. And then you can add on by bringing MIDI devices in to control them internally.
Yes, DAS is very much more of a software solution with hardware options. As Grand MA, yes, it's software, but their main market is hardware desks.
All the consoles are just running software. That's it. They just have their own native
At the end
hardware.
of the day,
That's the only difference. So they've got a
Special
computer built
computer.
into it which only runs that one software.
I have another great question too.
Oh, I love.
I'm a
questions.
lighting tech in real life for mid-size events, for conventions. How can I really get into various stage lighting setups? So if you don't want to make your own rig, you can go into let me show in the screen. I'm walking here, like and the slides, and can you show the slides? There's some clubs, most of them are public. The DMX version of them are public. For example, the foundry that this Lego being made is public. So if you want to get in and get in contact with him, you can get the fixture patch to start working in it and see how well it goes. The only thing you really need is the ArtNet grid node AcChosen developed. That's a paid software. It's pretty cheap. It's not going to be like test lighting caches of and it's a one-time purchase. So like.
Also, to double down on that question, you can go into a lot of VR chat clubs like Orion and enable DMX mode, and go into and there's a patch somewhere for it. Do you remember where the patch is for
Discord?
that? Well, either case, in the Discord. There you go. As far like you got to go to the club and read the information within the club, because most clubs will tell you, we've got a patch for you, and you can patch it, and then you just show up, click in the player, and off you go. And then you can get into the big dogs and build your own clubs and whatnot, but you can just start out grabbing a club off the shelf inside of VR chat. There's tons of them. We all have clubs. Every last one of us. We have tons of them.
Yep. And like if you use a console, recently I added a feature to actually allow you to set what network interface you want to use for VRSL. So you could actually set your console to be the network interface that VRSL is reading from. So you can send directly from, say, like a Grand MA console into VRSL as long as you have it hooked up to a PC that has a valid Ethernet connection. That is also an option if you have the luxury of bringing your own console. I don't have that luxury. I don't have money like that, but if you do, for the people that do, that is an option.
I think we might have time for like maybe one or two more questions.
Yeah. Have you any questions, Tech?
I'm just having a quick look through the channel.
Yeah.
There's a lot of questions about the club. Somebody's asked, are the cracks in the ground some kind of shader?
Oh. The cracks in the ground.
Well,
Rapson,
that's
do you wanna
controlled
take
by
that one?
video.
One for you. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't really necessarily talk about what the shader is or how that works, but all it
That's
is,
just
it's
magic.
just a screen. So yeah, it literally, like, as you saw pictures of the screen maps that we had from the clubs, or from like the other club fins, it's pretty much like everything was just either like an area on the screen. So whether it was a pixel for a light, or whether it was like an actual larger zone, which is a bit more for like video or something. So a lot of the gradients, like you see people with like Luma glow gradients on, and any of those like pulses that would like shoot up and down through things, it's all just either a linear line on the screen or just a larger screen zone, which is just for a VJ to play any content over. So that's like, our system was always a bit of a mix now because we've introduced VRSL, but we haven't let go of the original stuff that we did, which was it's still useful, and it like there's nothing else that really does it as simple as just putting a line or a screen in place to control something. So
It's true, and it all boils down to that video player being everything. Speaking of, I would like to make a shout out to the Texel video player. Okay, this video player and this world that we're in is built by Texel, and you need to go download that video player because that video player just works. It's perfect for the club scene.
For the live events, you want the video player that's really, really optimized and really well suited for live stuff.
Just Google Video TXL and you'll find it right on top.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Roxy, for dropping the link.
There you go.
So 2 quick questions. Let's see if we got time. I think we got time. Yeah, we got time.
Yeah, we got some time.
There was one question that was for AC. Any new features coming to VRSL in the near future?
Quite a few. The big ones is that I'm standardizing a quality system for the standard picture package. So for like the volumetrics, there's going to be a higher quality volumetric mode that introduces a much better 3D noise calculation, as well as a low quality mode that introduces a alpha to cutout shader variation. So you can get like a nice, for the people that like have a really struggle PCs, because VRSL does use a lot of transparency shaders, at least the standard movers do, and as well as the projections, and transparency can be quite hard on graphics cards. So something like an alpha to cutout, or I think it's alpha to coverage, my bad, alpha to coverage version can help with that. Another new feature that I'm introducing as well is going to make the VRSL grid node a global texture. So that means any shader in the world, as long as they actually have the correct parameter, the correct variable name, can read from that texture, including avatar shaders. So any avatar, as long as that shader supports it, you can grab any channel you want, any universe you want, and as many as you want, and read straight from the DMX texture.
Can you imagine?
Make a cool avatar.
Can you imagine the avatars that are going to run on DMX? Oh man!
And any new fixtures coming?
So fixtures that I have planned, at least, is a new laser fixture, as well as possibly a movable bar fixture with a decent volumetric light. I'm still working on that. Oh, and I'm technically researching global illumination techniques, but that's we're gonna keep that under wraps for now.
I guess I could also say that soon I'm gonna hopefully, give me time, gonna be releasing a pack of custom lighting fixtures that I've made as well, that runs basically perfectly with the current VRSL system. Soon.
If you would like to see some of those, visit the Foundry. Just type in the Foundry and search.
That ties perfectly into the last question, which was where can we see all you guys busk in the future? So
definitely the Foundry.
The Foundry's
The Foundry.
the club that I built. It's loosely based on a real club that I visited, but then it's VR, so we can make things better. We do, in the week when we get bored, we just hold pop-ups, get DJs to come in, play some music. Everybody comes and joins.
Constantly
we run the
stressing it.
lighting live, and it's a good time. Obviously, AC owns Orion, so.
Right. And also in October, or late September, October, I'm also hosting the 3rd Orion Music Festival, which is a large music festival we do every year, where we do full stage lighting and a full DJ lineup for 2 days. And it's gonna be fun. And the main purpose of that event is to show off all the new features of VRSL and trying to, as best as we can, show every little bit of VRSL and what it can do. Big ol' advertisement for it,
Yeah.
basically. Yeah.
It's gonna be fun.
well-
Make sure you go to that.
Yes, Bino runs Virtual Firmix.
Mhm.
You wanna
Yes,
do a quick?
it's an event that I run in a Bad Angel Club. It's a club that I remade the lighting rig there. Before it was made by other person. That it was a good job. Like, but we needed something bigger, so I went and go through and making a new lighting rig for that. And I am the lighting director and DJ coordinator there, so I direct these two beings here to do light shows for me because I can't do everything by myself. So yeah, and they're awesome. They did a great job there. So we have the Virtual Firmix, and we have Foxconn too in the future, right, Isaac?
Yes,
Yep.
at some point.
Yeah, I run Waterwolf and all the Waterwolf clubs, such as the Scratch and Foxconn that everybody knows. And Foxconn was designed purely around the lights because I got so enamored by VRSL that the Foxconn universe is purely we build the lights and then we built the world around the lights, and that's kind of how exactly how the Foundry is built too. So yeah, there's tons of worlds out there, guys. We can help you find them too if you want to come see us. We love
And
friends.
then Rapson, what's your normal busking world?
I don't
I know
really
the
do
answer.
much else in VR chat
It's gonna
anymore.
be-
It's now it's
I was going to
just
say it's real life.
yeah. I used to
Your real
like,
busking
that's
is
the thing.
real life.
I used to help set up a lot of like screen maps for people back in the day before VRSL was a thing to like do systems that were similar to what like Furality used at all those
Yeah.
previous cons, because that's just how it was done. When they needed a screen map for the VJs to use, and just kind of the lighting just got tied in with it. So like I used to do some shows. I've helped with things like Slyfest and stuff in the past. Now I'm just a little bit too busy. Furality takes up a lot of my time dealing with the club that we've got because we put a lot of effort into trying to make something like that's new and fresh each time with cool
We
technology.
always try
and
to
cool
one up
looks, so-
ourselves.
Yeah, every
right.
time
We do
say,
have a
"How
friendly
about we do that
competition."
next time?"
All of us
But,
LDs have
Texting,
friendly
there's that-
competition.
There's that end of the year event too. There.
Oh.
The New Year's event. Yes, I've got some plans for
That's
that.
gonna be big.
Things are already in works. That's going to be good fun. Yeah, that's our
Yeah,
like local,
I think
our,
that's
our
all.
local hangout spot.
Yeah. Hey, it's been a great panel, you guys. I appreciate all of your good questions. They're wonderful, and I hope that teaches you something throughout this entire panel. The reason was is because we want more people to do this. We want to see the
Yes.
VRSL world do it more, and all of
Yes.
us, we're willing to help you. We want to help you.
Yeah, if you
so
see
come
us,
find us.
see any of us in VR, come say hi. I'm not scary. I'm a beagle.
I'm a fox.
And yeah, feel free to talk about everything light and with any of us. We're all you know, we all nerd out over this stuff. We love it. We love doing it in VR.
And any
Come chat.
you're a developer
Yeah.
out there, VRSL is open source, and we would
Yes.
love to get some help in making it more expandable, more available to people all across the VR space. You know, make new fixtures, make anything. We
What's an easy way to get to your
whatever ideas you have,
Discord?
we're open. Yes. So yeah, we have a Discord called the VRSL Club Orion Discord. You can get to it at vrsl.dev, and it'll just redirect you straight to that Discord. So just type in vrsl.dev, and should redirect you straight to that Discord where all the lighting nerds are at.
There you go.
Yeah, if you're a shader magician, AC always needs some help. So yeah, that should be good.
So
Yes.
we'll try to
Please.
answer all the questions in the Discord after this. But
hmm
I hope you've enjoyed our panel.
But-
And Bean, I'll let you
and
close.
thank you for your time.
Yeah.